author of A Primer for Philosophy and Education with Cascade Books in 2014, and Folk Phenomenology, Education Study in the Human Person with Pickwick Publications in 2015. I just saw on Twitter that they did some kind of a count up of all the different branches of philosophy working in Canada and the United States right now. And I think philosophy of education was the second to last to philosophy of history. And to be honest, I was shocked that we even made the list. I mean, I think my field probably isn't going to thank me for this, but I think we're probably like the least respectable of the philosophers from the point of view of the humanities and of philosophy. And in some cases, there's probably some good reasons for that, but some of the reasons for it are just, I think, a lot of the assumptions about what philosophy is within the humanities and within academic philosophy that expect it to be detached to a certain degree. And philosophy of education is a field where we spend most of our time teaching people who have little to no background in the humanities and who are not interested in any kind of specialization whatsoever in the academic study of the humanities or philosophy or theory or what have you, but are mainly either practitioners, teachers, school administrators, stuff like that, or social science researchers of some kind, doing that. So we're kind of misfits in both spots. We're too theoretical for the educationalists. We're too practical for the philosophers. And my work, I think, is in some ways fairly kind of put in that kind of misfit area, except I add even other variables that make me kind of, in some cases it's not true, but in a lot of cases I find myself kind of as an outlier within outliers, right? So I'm in this tiny subfield called philosophy of education, and then within there my interests go into places that are not particularly developed, one of them being philosophical theology, particularly Catholic, but just philosophical theology writ large, I guess. And then the arts, and I'm not interested in aesthetics, actually. That's one of the claims of my book, that I don't really, as someone who's been playing guitar since I was 5, I've never felt like I needed a prevailing theory of art, because I've been making art, as long as I can remember, and I never had a theory for it. I think right now, insofar as you could call this theory, it's not a theory meant to sort of come before the process of art. It's in sort of the aftermath of being an artist for so long, and also studying philosophy and gaining a language and some tools for making sense of that, and what have you. So my interest in theology, my interest in art, put me in a, you could say unique, or perhaps you could say just really self-marginalizing place within my own field. But it also has been a real, Zizek the other day had this interview with Tavis Smiley where he was talking about how much he loved Malcolm X, because for X it wasn't the X in my name sends me back to my romantic relationship to Africa or anything like that, but that the X was both a negation, but like that negation itself made it possible for this profound creativity of, the Black intellectual tradition, really, the in all the ways that X and other people found it. And I guess I feel that way too. So on the one hand, I'm very aware of this kind of self-marginalized position I hold in this already, in some ways, deeply marginalized field, in particular within its relationship to philosophy. When I see fellow philosophers at APA, the few who know me, they'll be like, "Oh, so you're at a philosophy conference, right?" Because to them I belong, I don't know where. Maybe I did teach kindergarten, and so did Wittgenstein and others, but to them I guess I belong teaching kindergarten or something. But to get around to the point, I don't just see this marginalized position as negative. In fact, I actually don't see it as I only see it negative in the basic sense, but normatively, axiomatically, I see it actually as an incredible opportunity for creativity. In some ways, I don't think I could be an artist simultaneous to being a philosopher if I was in some, position in my field and in the philosophical world that was worth anything, because there I would have to fit to those standards and those models, and they're not all bad, they just don't fit, a folk artist very well. So So that's like, I guess that's where I see myself, you know, in relationship to the field, in relationship to the academy. I mean, the presence of the church, I guess, is something. And in this case, for me, it's the Catholic Church in the sense that I'm a confessional Catholic, but not just the Catholic Church. I mean, there's a churchiness about the academy that I don't think the academy is always self-aware of. The way we meet, the way we dress in regalia, but even more in terms of this pastoral dimension to things. And so to me, that always has translated directly from a community-based or church-based environment into an academic environment, back and forth. And the only thing missing is that, like, most churchy meetings have a guitar or an organ or some singing or stuff like that, and we don't do much of that in my classes at UBC, and probably for good reason, but, you know. So the arts, I don't want to make them sound like they're outliers necessarily. They're always been a part of it, I guess, the way I see it.